Hello. This week's it's my cold steel GI Tanto. It's a slightly unusual knife, but probably it's the only one that with this size large fixed blade knife that I have. I used it. This week was the first time that I used it for such a long period, and probably I will describe it as obviously as a military knife. Also, I think it fits the category of survival knife. Pretty much one tool option if such a situation arises. Uh, let's start with the blade. The blade, it's a full tank construction, and the blade, you can see it's a large knife compared to my bush lore. It's looking huge, and it's very broad and wide. And you can see how aggressive shape it has. This Tanto blade, from the videos I've seen, pretty much doesn't have anything to do with Japanese culture, but I think it has a unique shape and look, and that's why I was drawn to that knife. And you can see it has a sharpened spine over here. It's not very sharp, but you can, if you pull your finger and press it, you can cut yourself. And this shape, it's obviously pretty much for military use and penetration use. In my mind, I will never use it in such a way, but it's that's the purpose that it's being designed and made for. The handle, it's pretty straightforward handle, no curves or anything, but it fits the hand quite well. And if you hold it like just like that, normal grip doesn't give you any hot spots. Just, of course, if you have to stop, there is a guard protector that it will do the job. But actually, while I was using it, you can feel that your fingers just goes over here, and the edges are quite sharp. It's not very comfortable, but yeah, overall the handle is pretty simple and not too bad. Just the blade itself, and the knife itself, it's quite large and heavy, and I used it for such a purposes in the kitchen that you can use a large kitchen knife, and in that category it did the job well. But I will recommend, if you want to use this one as your primary knife, to get one of these as well to accompany the big knife. And I think the small tasks that this one can do, this one will do. I highly recommend this combination, but it's all up to you. Or if you have any other smaller knife, folding Victorinox will do the job as well. In the kitchen, food prepping, it did the job. I managed to do the vegetables, processed meat, I think cabbage as well. But it's a bit difficult to control, especially if you want to use this part of the blade. It's because it's large and a bit difficult to control for precise cuts. Other way, if you use it for chopping, it's a pretty good chopper because it's a heavy knife, quite thick. I think the bush floor goes around 2.5–3 millimeter of blade, more like 3 millimeters, and the GI Tanto is I think around 4 millimeters. You can see GI Tanto, and on this side cold steel, focus 1055 carbon steel, made in China. And this steel, it's not very high quality super steel. It's pretty cheap and soft steel. I think it's used for machetes, but with this thickness and pretty much it gives the blade a lot of robustness. And I did some batoning with it, uh, chopping, very good in chopping, and especially I did some kindling, and it's doing the job very well. But for carving, you can put your finger in this finger choil, and you can go closer and you can do finer tasks. Finer, well, it's strong word for that, but it can do the job. But I've seen some guys on YouTube modify these, and they remove the top guards, and if you do that, and they also smooth the edges over here, make the knife more rounded, the choil. And I can see that because when I was doing finer whittling with the knife, this finger guard, it kept sticking in my fingers, my hand, and it's pretty much in the way, and with the sharp edges it's not very comfortable. But it will definitely do the job as a survival tool, or if you just want a big knife that you pretty much will baton with it and just trash it. This knife will hold up pretty much every task you have, chopping, batoning, torture tests. So far, I haven't seen somebody complaining of damaging or breaking this knife. And because it's 1055, it's slightly softer than Condor 1075, and that's the downside, that the steel is soft. But the good side of that steel is that it's not gonna break or chip, but it will just twist. And but I didn't have problems. I sharpened it a few times, because if you just trash on it and chop the blade, it dulls fast. And last week I sharpened it with my ceramic rod, and I used it the whole week. I did, like I said, some whittling, not too much. And to show, I think it still holds a decent edge. You can see it's not razor sharp. It is for the steel that it is. It's doing the job pretty good. What else I wanted to mention? The sheet that it comes with, pretty simple sheet, Securex, that's how Cold Steel calls it. It holds the knife pretty well and securely. There is a snap, and I'm very happy with that sheet. Yeah, rattles a little bit, but it has a Velcro and a snap button, and you can put quite a large belt through that loop. I paid, I think, around 30 quid for this knife, and just check the prices before I start making this video. They're still around 30 quid. Maybe I paid 28, something like that. But yeah, I think for 30 quid, it's really good deal. And if you want, like I said, sturdy knife, beater knife that you're not gonna care about, this is a good choice. My next week's knife is the Cold Steel SRK in VG1, and this knife, it's significantly more expensive and better steel. It's 160 quid. This one is 30 quid, and really for 30 quid, I've always said that I care about my knives and I look after them. But for 30 quid, even if you break it, it's not gonna hurt you, it's not gonna break the budget. So for that price, and you can like I said, you can modify it to make it more comfortable if you really want to make it your primary blade. um, from UK point of view, I really don't care this knife with me when I'm hiking, not because it's heavy, but because of the UK knife laws. And if you're caught with this particular blade, you'll be in a lot of trouble, because I don't know what good reason and explanation you'll give to the police if they catch you with one of these. So yeah, just to let you know that you'll be in trouble with this one. Not that you're gonna have less troubles, but if you're on a hike or camping with this kind of blade, you can see that it's a lot less threatening. uh, but yeah, it's beater knife, like I said. um, so yeah, pretty much these are my thoughts on this blade. I was thinking about SRK, Cold Steel SRK, but the price point, and I think when I bought the cheapest SRK was around 80 quid in AUS 8 steel. And just a few months after I purchased this one, they released SRK with SK5, slightly better than this steel, carbon steel again. um, because I think SRK is pretty much a better knife, uh, slightly smaller, but I really wanted, I like this design. And I was thinking to, there are a few knives, I think K-Bar USMC is pretty much in that category. Cold Steel SRK, also Cold Steel have few other, I think Leatherneck, it's pretty much USMC, K-Bar USMC replica, but they're a lot more expensive. They go around 80 to 100 pounds, and this was way over my budget, so that's why I went for this one. Like I said, 30 quid. And also this one has the coating. You can see that it starts wearing from chopping, batoning. This one is more like powder coating, and it's when you go through meat, it's slightly more, gives you slightly more resistance when you slice through meat, and not only meat but other stuff as well. When the cold steel is with more like a gloss coated finish, but I'll talk about that in the next week's video. And just once again, overall, yeah, cheap knife for 30 quid. I don't think you can go wrong with it, and especially if you have if you pair it with a smaller knife for smaller tasks. um, it's a really good option, because sometimes it can replace a small hatchet, because it's pretty heavy and it can do the hatchet work, or small axe. And pretty much that's it for this week. If you have any questions again, I'll be glad to answer. I hope this video was useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.